So you want to get published. A publishing guide to the publishing world. Welcome to this guide. There are many things that we're going to cover here today, a lot of pros and cons, but generally this guide is to help you answer the questions that you need to answer in order to decide the best route to publish your work. The contents, we're going to talk about what type of media you're publishing. You need to be able to answer that. And there's a series of questions that need to be answered so that you choose the best route. And then we'll talk a little bit about the process of publishing books and what all goes into it. I hope that you enjoy this lecture, and if you have any questions, definitely email me below or write a post below. History of publishing has changed over the years, from papyrus and sandstone to monks in a dark abbey handwriting out Bibles, to finally the printing press, where it gave access to media to a new consumer. And ever since the printing press, books have been becoming more and more accessible until present day, where we are practically inundated by the untold forms of media. Hi, today we're going to cover the process used to publish your work. It starts with deciding what kind of media are you publishing. Book, video, music, art, there's an unlimited number of media varieties out there for you to use. You just need to choose one. In this presentation, we're working solely with books. So it comes down to this. There are choices to be made to publish a book. Consider this. What kind of publisher do I want to go with? The traditional or the self-publisher? What type of format? Hard copy, ebook, print on demand. They're all very, very nice means of getting your product to your ideal audience. How will you get to your ideal audience, though? I mean, you have to either have someone do it for you and create a marketing strategy, or you have to do it yourself and market yourself so that you reach your ideal audience. Do you retain the rights to your work? With the traditional market, the rights tend to go, you sell the rights to the publishing house, and they can print as they see fit, and they give you royalties. With the self-publisher, you get to keep more of the proceeds. How much do you want to get back? The do-it-yourselfer gets a considerable chunk back, but remember, it's a DIY, meaning you are the one responsible for the writing, the editing, the marketing strategy, the publishing. You need to do all that on your own. There's no one to do it for you. You can outsource a lot of those, and we'll talk about them later. But it comes down to how much do you want to get back for each sale. With the traditional route, you get less. Traditional versus self-publishing. Traditional publishing offers prestige. You can get advances upfront for the work before it even hits the shelves, which is good because you've spent a lot of time working. You want to see some money back. They develop a marketing budget and editing services, but that results in lots of people getting paid before you get anything from the sale of your book. And even with all of the editing and marketing services, your book may never reach stores. You may get a brief blip if you're lucky, and then you'll be out of circulation within a month. Unless, of course, you are popular and well established. So that gives you some idea. And then another thing with traditional publishing is it takes a lot of time. In the next slide, you'll see why. It's an intense, system of flowcharts. On the other hand, self-publishing, anyone can do it. And that's liberating for a lot of people. However, you have to pay for all the services you use, and you only reap the benefits of your published work only after the sale. You have to market yourself. You can put your book up, and if you don't use any resource to attempt to reach your public audience, no one's going to know you're there, and your work is going to go to an archive, to where digital books go to die. You are also required to find an editor or do it yourself with self-publishing. I don't know about you, but I'm not very good at editing my own work. So to give you an idea, I have written a book. To get it edited for the first round was $1,500. For the second round, it was about the same price. It's costly. They say it's not as costly as, going the traditional route, but in a lot of respects, you're taking one trade-off for another. So it comes down to really which one you want more. They do say that you get more of the profits, but remember, if you're the do-it-yourselfer, you're being paid for all those hours that you worked. It's not for free. Nothing you do, even when you do it yourself, is for free. The book is more likely to reach the masses, but you have to do the marketing. You have to market yourself, right? And it's quick. It's a click of a button, and that's it. So really, it comes down to which, they both have pros and cons, and we just discussed them. It just comes down to which one you prefer. Do you prefer an army of people that you have to pay, but they do the services that are required to get your book out there? Or are you a self-motivated person who can do it yourself and thumb your nose at everyone? That's a decision that you have to make. So here it is. This is the publishing house model for how they get your book to the right audience. And as you can see, it is complex. There are arrows going everywhere because there's a lot of people involved. There are a lot of people who are involved in the decision making. Think about just the cover of the book. You have a say in it, but so does your marketing team, so does your publisher. If you decide to have an agent, they have a say in it as well, because everybody's going to get a piece of the pie. They're going to get their percent of the money, and they want to make sure that they get as much of the money as they can possibly get off of the sale of each book. So the better it looks, the more money they get, so to speak. But there's a lot that goes into the publishing house, and you should really investigate that. So do you want an agent? You'll see that this is a continuation of the traditional book publishing. With it, you see all the benefits and the cons of going with a publishing company. But now you have to ask yourself, do I want to add in an agent? An agent can act as a mediator between you and the publishing house. And sometimes with especially disputes, you want someone there to be on your side. They can oftentimes help with the marketing of the book. They set up book deals and signings and all sorts of stuff. They also deal with the legalities of the industry. There are so many issues that are concerned with rights to the book. Who has rights? Who has the ability to publish the next work? The contracts are endless, and as an agent, their job is to mediate for you and on your behalf. But again, that takes a price. You have to pay them 15%. And here's the thing, will they really help you? Agents are bogged down. And unless you're one of their breadwinners, you may get some of their time, but you're not going to get all of their time. So keep that in mind. Below is a link to a publishing help guide. You fill out the survey, you give them your email, and they're going to generate a list of possible publishers that you can go to and ask if they're interested in publishing your work. These kinds of sites are good, and sometimes they're not so good because they ask you to pay a fee for their service. Like everyone, they want to get paid for their time, but with this site it seems pretty straightforward, and I think it will help you to discover some publishers that might be a great fit for your work. So on this page, what you see here are some of the traditional houses: Simon & Schuster, Random House. There are many more out there. These are three that come to mind when I think of books. And many of these are also doing self-publishing in the regard of, well, we'll let them self-publish, but then if they get really good, we're going to give them a book deal. So they sort of let the market figure itself out and let the market decide who they want to read. And then those are the people that get picked up by the book companies. So as noble as they want it to sound, it's really benefiting them because they get to pick and choose out of the best, and the market is the one that chooses who is great and who's not. So the self-publishing on this page, there's an untold number of sources. Here are several. These sources, like Amazon, it's really easy. You can do it for free. They just ask for a portion of the proceeds and then you get most of them. There's no editing necessary, but let's be honest, people are more likely to read your work if it's actually good. Not just the plot is good or the storyline is good or the characters are amazing, but the actual grammar, it has to sound good in order for people to take you seriously. So even though these sites will allow you to do it for free, I really recommend that you take and spend some time editing your work so that you're giving the people a product worth buying. So what kind of book do you want? Do you want a hard copy? Print on demand? Ebook? I know there are so many questions here, but I mean, they're all based off of what you want and how you see your book being produced. Hard copy is a traditional one. We have a lot of nostalgia around it. I mean, people talk about how they love the smell of books. It's comforting. And so hard copy will always be on the market. But with hard copy, you tend to have to produce several books at one time, and then they sit in this warehouse and wait for someone from some bookstore to order them and put them on their shelves. Whereas print on demand, because of the digital age, it makes it easier to print books. And so instead of having your books stored in a warehouse waiting for some bookstore that may forget that you're even there to purchase the book, print on demand is a great alternative. People can peruse and get a glimpse of your book, preview a chapter, and then decide if they want to buy it, and then it's printed and sent to them. So it's more cost effective. And then there's the ebook. There are smartphones and iPhones, Kindles and Nooks. There's all sorts of available digital sources that you can use as a device to download untold numbers of books. So the ebook is convenient, it's fast, it's accessible. I can put it in my pocket and I can sit at the doctor's office and read it off my phone. It's just that easy. So it really comes down to how you want your book to be published. Hard copy, print on demand, or ebook. So for the do-it-yourselfer marketing, the first and most important thing in marketing is having a product worth selling. Edit it. Make sure that people are going to read it and not think poorly of you. You want to be a serious writer, you need to have a product worth buying. Then you think about all the time and the effort that you put into it, and you look at the price breakdowns of what similar books are going for, and then you have to choose a price. It has to be reasonable, because I can get books for free. I can get books for 99 cents. If I don't know you, why would I want to spend $24 for your hard copy? So keep that in mind. Are you new to the industry, or have you been publishing for a while? You need to know the place where you want it to go. Do you want it in the bookstore? Do you want it on Amazon? Do you want it only found in ebook form? These are questions that you need to answer. And then promotion. If you're the do-it-yourselfer, you need to promote yourself. And on this slide, you'll see there's 3 links to some marketing breakdowns and costs associated with it. Remember, even though you're getting more money back from the sale of your book, there are people out there who can help you sell that book, and you're going to have to pay for those services oftentimes up front. So be prepared. So, and then lastly, there's the traditional publishing house and marketing. Let's be honest, when you go with the traditional publishing house, they offer you these services. Now, you could still be a do-it-yourselfer and do the editing yourself, but that doesn't mean that they're going to take you and publish your book. If they don't like the way it sounds, if they don't like, the quality of the work, they're not going to spend their money giving you a published work. So generally speaking, most publishing houses have editors in-house. They have marketers in-house that will do this for them. That's part of the reason why they get more money at the sale of the book. So this concludes the presentation on publishing a book and whether or not to go with the traditional source or a self-publishing route. Personally, I prefer the self-publishing route mixed in with some traditional sources. The biggest issue with that is that I have to pay for them myself. And you need to be aware of that so it's not so shocking when people say, okay, well, now you need to pay me.